Yo, what's up everybody? It's Peace. Welcome to another video. I just took Kashtira Snake Azamina Fiendsmith to local. And there was only 2 rounds, so you can see those for the past 2 days. There was a power outage right at the start of round 2. So after round 2, we just got prized out. But I did go undefeated for 2 rounds. Round 1, I faced Snake Eyes against Joe. I faced Fire King against Joe, and then round 2 was John on Infernoid. Both matches were pretty good. I think both of them went to game 3. But yeah, so the list performed really well. I got to showcase a lot of what I could do. One of the games against Joe, I believe, I filled up the extra monster zone, all 5 spells and traps, all 5 monster zones, and the field spell, which is really funny. And I still had 2 cards in hand. The deck is super explosive, and it can push through a lot of disruption, which is why I really like it. And hopefully you guys enjoy this deck profile and you can do something with it. All right, so undefeated deck profile. So first up is the Kashtira engine. Now I did increase this. Before I was just playing Fenrir's, so I didn't call it Kashtira. But now that I play 3 Unicorn, I'm definitely calling this a Kashtira strategy. Because this is just really good going first. I actually side this out going second. But I do leave the 2 Fenrir's because it's a very strong going second card. I did see a list that was playing only 1 of this, but I wanted to make sure that I had follow-up and then also ways to see it. Next up is Kashtira Birth that's searchable by the Unicorn. And then I opted for 2 Field Spell since if you put it on board, it's a free send for your Snake Eyes cards if they get interrupted in some way. Because by itself, if it doesn't get interrupted, the Snake Eyes cards create cards for you to send. But if you hard draw the Oak, it's nice to be able to just send the Pressured Planet instead of having to send a monster. So that's the Kashtira engine, really small. I did play 48 cards, so it was a good portion of my deck. I think 1/6 of my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 8 cards out of 48 is 1/6. So 16, almost 17% of my deck was Kashtira cards. Next up, the even bigger engine, the Snake Eyes engine. So I played 2 Snake Eyes Ash, shout out to the ban list. 2 Snake Eyes Poplar, shout out to the ban list, welcome back. And then 1 Snake Eyes Oak. I opted to play only 1 Flamberge now that I have access to a Snake Eyes Diabellstar, shout out to Fresh Haircut Charlie. And then for the spells, Poplar can search the Divine Temple, which is really great. It brings out your Diabellstar. Or the Dramatic Snake Eyes Chase. This puts a face-up monster on board. You can even send the Diabellstar, the other Diabellstar for the Azamina engine on board, and then you can bring it back with a bow. Or if you're playing Selene, you can also do that, but I opted not to play Selene. I just didn't like it. But yeah, this is also really good in a sense that if you draw it, it's automatically a disruption because you can activate this. And then during your end phase, you banish this to bring out your Diabellstar from your spell and trap zone. And then that can actually set your Morion. So it's a Book of Moon. And if they out your Diabellstar during their turn, you can send another card you control to special it back to set your Deception. So the Snake Eyes engine still bridges into the Azamina engine, which is really great. Very good to have 2 search targets for your 2 Poplars. So that's my spiel on the Dramatic Snake Eye Chase. And this card's from Phantom Nightmare. All right, next up, Bonfire at 1. So you can only play 1. And then 1 for 1 can summon any one of your Snake Eyes level 1 monsters. All right, so that is the Snake Eyes engine. Next up is the Fiendsmith engine. I opted to max out on Engravers. 1 Lacrima, 1 Sanct. And then people are usually going for the Desiree, so they don't play the Fiendsmith in Paradise, but I opted to play it because it's that strong. And with this deck, I kind of diluted it a little bit, playing 48 cards, so you're not always going to be able to go full Snake Eyes combo. You can usually just try and access that engine at another point later on in the duel. And in those scenarios, I do like to go for DDD Wave High King Caesar, which works really well with leaving your Lacrima and your Requiem in graveyard to send your Fiendsmith in Paradise, which is an insane interruption. That's 3 interruptions right there. and you're basically guaranteeing follow-up, which is really strong, and I like that a lot better than going Desiree. So every Fiendsmith deck I'm going to play, I'm probably going to include the Paradise. Next up, the Azamina engine. So I maxed out on Diabellstar. I saw some lists also cutting this down. Some people play 2, and then some people actually only play 1 of this. But I want to be able to access it if it gets banished, and I want to see it because that engine is so strong and it puts bodies on board so efficiently that you can very easily go into the Fiendsmith package. It gives you that cohesiveness in the deck. Being able to bridge from one of your strategies to another really makes this deck like a high thinking level, which gives you more opportunity to outplay your opponent, which is what I really like about deck building. Next up, for consistency, to search that, always activate this in draw phase to play around Droll, or if you want to use your talents, then you can do it in main phase. And if you have like full Fiendsmith combo, their Droll and Lockbird doesn't matter. So 3 wanted, and also the banish to draw effect is insane because it can also recycle your banished spells and traps as well. 2 deception. Some people are playing 1 of this, but I want to be able to have it if like it gets banished face down, because this engine is just so good every turn. It's so recursive. Once you get your Hallowed Azamina out of deck. Shout out to Big Tony for the what's it called, the Sinful Spoils deception. And then finally, Morian. The combo is really insane. If you already have access to your wanted, you not only get a draw, you get basically 2 bodies, and you also get the Book of Moon, which is insane. This can set itself from your deck or from your graveyard if you control a level 5 or higher illusion monster, which you get access to from the Azamina package. So that's that engine, and that was the last engine. So in 48 cards, I wanted to play at least 12 defensive cards. So my 12 were 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This is not really a good going second card because the ceiling for disruptions is so high. But I opted to play it mainly as the Called by the Graves for Fualos, which is ironic because I decided to cut Called by the Grave at the last second. So I don't even side deck Called by the Grave. Spoilers. 3 Droll and Lockbird. This is also for Fualos. Because you play the Fiendsmith package, you can just get your 2 bodies on board. Your opponent gets to draw 1 card off their Fualos, and then you Droll and Lockbird them, and then you continue your plays. 3 Infinite Impermanence. This should get cut. Imperm has just fallen out of favor. Even Blue Eyes lists are reducing their amount of effect failures because targeted negation is no longer what's really good this format. So I think I'm going to change these for either DD Crows or Bells. Bell is just insanely broken. It can stop so many stuff like Mitsuguri or the Malice strategy, and even what's it called? Like random stuff like Called by the Grave or Bestials. Bell can just stop it. Imperm just isn't it. Like Imperm is obviously a great 6th card to draw. You can just like start off by negating the detonator, and they have to respond by either popping it or something. Or negating the DDD. But a lot of times with this strategy, you can play through all that stuff. So Imperm is just not good overall, and it's not even good in this deck. So if you're going to copy this list, I would either cut Imperm and put in 3 other Disruptor cards, or just cut it down and play 45 cards instead of 48. 3 Forbidden Droplet. I opted to include a board breaker in this strategy as well as the hand traps because I saw it online, and the idea is basically you have some cards in your hand that you want to get rid of, and you just have access to a lot of cards that will put themselves in the spell and trap zone for free. With the Fiendsmith package having the Link monsters being able to equip, and then also the Poplar and the Diabellstar engine to put stuff in the spells and trap. I thought that was pretty good. And then you can count this as another disruptive card. The 13th card, I guess, is the Triple Tactics Talents. But yeah, I think Imperm should go for either Bell or Crow, or maybe even both. But yeah, like I feel like the 6 are mandatory, and this card is obviously one of the most broken cards in the game, which is why they put it at 1. Shout out to Talents. But yeah, so that's the 48 card main deck. Next up is the extra deck. So I made a slight change from my previous list that I was playing when I was playing either... It was either 52, 59, or 60. I can't remember how many cards I was playing. But anyway, Fiendsmith Requiem, Fiendsmith Sequence, Fiendsmith Egnumde. This is taking the slot of Access Code Talker, and then I also don't play a bunch of the random like Fire Links like Nightmare Phoenix and Hida. Although you could play those, you have to cut down on your Fiendsmith package. But the Fiendsmith package is extremely busted and very easy to access, so I wanted to capitalize on that. So I include a ton of Fiendsmith cards in this, and it basically gives you access to utilizing it to its full potential. So all three of the links, the Moon, obviously, to get into there, the Desiree, to either send something your opponent controls to the graveyard, or to be your face-up negate, to negate your own princess to link up with it. The Necroquip Princess, which is needed in order to go into your DDD Wave High King Caesar, which is right here, which is just such a broken disruption. Unless you're facing Infernoid, then they just never play into it, and then they just bounce it, which you can see on the duel in the darkness against John, which was hilarious. We played in the dark. But yeah, very heavy Fiendsmith package. Basically, half of the extra deck is Fiendsmith adjacent cards. So that's the Fiendsmith engine. Next up is the Azamina engine. Obviously, your Murcielago, which just gives you so much plus and puts a body on board. And then your Azamina Sylvia, which is your negation that protects your board for the rest of the turn, basically. Next up, I opted to insert the Relinquished Anima. It came up before when I was playing this deck. This slot was actually the Silhouette Rabbit, but I opted to play Anima over that, and it actually came up in tournament where I was actually able to bait a Infernoid Decatron. Next up, more generic staples. This is a Snake Eye card. You link up into it, and then Flamberge places it in your spell and trap zone to help you layer your disruptions, which is always very good. As the game power creeps even further, the decks that perform the best can play through a lot of disruption, and the disruptions that they set up are layered. So there's not just one card that can take care of all of your disruptions. Like if you have like a crazy pendulum board from like 2019 or whatever, you activate Dark Ruler, and I mean, most of the time that just shuts down every single one of the disruptions, and you just break their board. But now, like, the boards are not like that. You've got spells and traps. You've got multiple different monster interactions. You've got stuff that activates in the graveyard. You've got hand traps in your hand. Like, this game is absolutely nuts now, and I can't believe I talked this much about IP Masquerade. SP Little Knight, obviously, shout out to Team Bad Cards. This is your probably only target that you're ever going to IP into. The princess that I mentioned before, to reborn your Flamberge. Now you will be negating that and climbing up into your Abao. But Abao you can only summon with a Fiend. So unfortunately you're going to need to use a Fiend. Oh wait, Promethean Princess is a Fiend for some reason. Abao is crazy. This can bring back your Diabolstar from the graveyard and go full Azamina combo. So the Snake Eyes engine bridges into this. Like, all the engines intermingle, which is why this deck is so flipping good, and I was able to go undefeated at locals today. And then finally, another Fiend. Shout out to the Superstar Slashers Typhon Sky Crisis. So even if you activate Fiendsmith Sanct and you lock yourself into attacking with Fiends only, if you slap your Star Slayer Typhon, your Abao, your Princess, all of these can still attack, because like more than half of this extra deck is Fiend monsters. That's so funny. But yeah, next up, we have the side deck finally. So I'm still playing Nibiru, the Primal Being. So shout out to the Nib token, 3 Nibiru. I don't even like this card. I don't know why it's on my list. I did put it in as a cross-out target, and then going second because I just didn't have enough good cards, I ended up putting in 2 of the Nibirus, but I never sided in all 3. So honestly, I could cut one of these, maybe even 2, to like put more other cards in there. But like, what are the chances you're going to draw the 1 of Cross-Out Designator or the 2 of Nib when you're playing this deck? I really don't know in 48 cards. I have to use the Hypergeometric Calculator. 3 Artifact Lancia. I put this in against Infernoid, which was hilarious, but I did not see it because I'm playing 48. But this is also very good against the Malice strategy. Not as good as it was before the support, but still decent. Next up, back row decks. They always exist. So Harpy's Feather Duster and Double Lightning Storm. You're not really putting monsters or anything on board during your turn 0. So your Lightning Storm should always be live. even if your opponent sets some garbage Mimighoul on your deck. Shout out to first place champion Robert Creamer. Here's the one crossout designator. I know this feels weird with the one talent in the main and no called by the grave on the list at all, but crossout designator, I negated a triple tactics talents the other day with this when I was playing this, I think the 60 card version of this deck. But like crossout designator is just so strong. Called by the grave honestly probably should be banned. And the crossout just got put to 1, and crossout is just even better almost in certain scenarios because you can negate almost anything. But yeah, kind of good. And then I opted to not even bother with Thrust. I don't even have a justification for it. Obviously, you guys have seen me play Thrust. I've got 3 different varieties of Thrust. But I opted to just play the hard 3 evenlies. So I could just see evenly, and then I could just double evenly my opponent, or evenly droplet them. Droplet's in the main, actually. I usually side deck droplet, but it's in the main today. But yeah, evenly is just a crazy card. It equalizes everything. My evenly got negated in tournament, and I didn't have the second one, so sad. But my opponent didn't activate any monster, or maybe he did activate monster effects. I don't know. Either way, I'm not a huge fan of Thrust right this minute, but it's a very good card. Like when I play Unchained, I believe I will be playing Thrust because it doesn't even matter if my opponent doesn't control a monster. I can either set one of the Unchained cards or I can set a Floodgate of some kind. And then finally, shout out to the Silhouette Rabbit that my baby pulled out of a pack for me, and the Azarina statue. So certain decks lose really hard to a spell and trap pop or a negating and banishing of a summon. Not every deck though. So I opted to put this in the side. I did see one other list online that also opted to side deck this, which is why I tried it, and I did put it in. When I was going first, instead of having Typhon, I threw in the going first card, the Silhouette Rabbit, and I actually ended up hard drawing the Angel statue as a Rune, so I didn't even go into it, but it was there if I needed to pop a spell and trap. It was against my Infernoid opponent, because being able to negate their inherent summons, am I crazy? This can, yeah, when your opponent would special summon a monster. So yeah, you just negate any of their inherent special summons of their silly Infernoid monsters and then banish them. That's insane. But yeah, it's good against other strategies too. I doubt you're going to see Infernoid at your locals. Shout out to John. All right, so that was the list. 48 cards. You could, like I said, you could probably cut this down to 45 or even 40, honestly. But I like to play super high ceiling, so there's going to be a lot of bricks, and you don't want to draw those cards. You just want to have more starters. Like you could cut down on maybe like the Fenrir, the Diabell Star, even one of the Deceptions. You can cut one of them just to like be streamlined and stuff. But I like the consistency in adding more cards in so that I'm not going to see my temple, so I can search it off of my my Poplar. You guys know how to play the game. You've been playing long enough to watch a deck profile that's 18 minutes long. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more. I think I'm going to go back on Orchist for the next tournament. Even though the support hasn't come out yet, the Link 1 or whatever. Since I have access to the Azamina package, I wanted to try that. So it's probably going to be something like Orchist, Horus, Fiendsmith, Azamina, or something like that. Diabell Star sending a Harp Horror from your hand is insane. Like, that's crazy. And then you go full Fiendsmith combo after you Azamina them. You Deception, Tribute, a Harp Horror, a Nightmare from your hand. Like, that's insane. And then you have the Horus package to back it up. I gotta work on the extra deck, though, because it's gonna be really tight having all that stuff in there. But, yeah. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.